Welcome, everybody. You are now locked into Konversations. This is our podcast here at Kompleks Creative, and my name is Tobias Rose. I'm the principal and the creative director here at Kompleks, and I'm also the host here at Konversations. As I said before in our last episode, we're doing this thesis. We're doing this deep dive into what we like to call the new economy. And in this sense, the new economy is this life after, rather, this life while we're going through this global pandemic. And I have one of my good friends, collaborators, my good co-troublemaker.
Yeah, the homie.
The homie, drinking partner, Dr. Cicely Mitchell. What's poppin'?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Glad to be out the house.
Yeah.
Not stuck behind a computer.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you out here.
Yeah.
And people in the community know you as the founder of, I'm gonna let you say it.
I would say co-founder.
We can't forget.
We can't forget Albert. Yeah, Al Strong.
There you go.
Co-founder of the Art of Cool, original Art of Cool.
Classmate from NCCU.
Yeah.
I
Al
came
did go to
from
Central.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you about this life after Art of Cool because you sold it, you did an exit, and then you pivoted.
Yeah.
In a great way, I think. And the reason why I think it's a great way is because I remember when you started Art of Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people this all the time when I tell kind of the Durham story of where we are. I always like to include you, and I tell people there was a time when you would walk around downtown Durham and you would just hear jazz from different directions.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the reason why that was happening was because you curated the stage at this particular business and that business at the same time.
Yeah. I think back on that, and I don't know how. I don't know how we did it, but we did.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of looking back at it, you know, at any given time, you could be at the Durham, and jazz was going on, BU.
Yep.
I don't know, Pinhook, Motor Code, Alley 26, Whiskey. You know.
Oh
so.
Man, you took it back.
Oh yeah, like that
I
was the
that.
Whiskey jam sessions were really the only time that I remember Branford kind of coming out. He would only play there, you know, back in the day, if he wasn't over at Central, you know, with his students. But if he came to kind of jam, I think there was like an upright piano there at Whiskey, and Brian Horton would host a jam session there, and it was just grown. You know, it was like super dark. You know, and you could just kind of teleport to, you know, another place as if you were in New Orleans, because they would play, you know, kind of in New Orleans style, and it was just amazing.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So I remember probably 2010, maybe earlier than that. I remember you coming to my office, the old office.
The old office, yes.
And you had this idea, and we talked then about kind of the origin of this idea. Can you talk again about where this all came from? Where did tell me the origin of the cool.
Yeah.
You know, and when I say the cool, I'm talking about even what you're doing now. Where did all this come from? Being a biostatistician?
Biostatistician, yes. So it all really started from, you know, meeting Al, and then realizing that there were these amazing musicians in this music scene that I knew nothing about. So just kind of tagging along really at first with him at Tallulah's in Chapel Hill. I don't know if you remember, but they had a jam session there, and it just really started from just tagging along with him and thinking, you know, more people need to know about them, like what they're doing. I mean, who doesn't want to come and drink a little and listen a little and have some fun? And so it kind of started from there. There was an art gallery down at Golden Belt called Labor Love, and I just went in there one day and asked them, you know, can we take over your space and put on our own concert. And at the time, I believe it was something that not too many people were doing. Like, people were going to restaurants or going to clubs and just taking the gig from the venue, but there really wasn't these pop-up kind of jazz clubs for one night only. And that's what we were, trying to bring about.
What was amazing back then for Labor Love was how you all changed the entire space, like the outside area. We had a food truck. This was before.
It was
food trucks
crazy.
were popping.
It was crazy how we did it.
Yeah.
Like, we piggybacked off of Third Friday Art Walk, and that was just because, that's training wheels, right? People are already down in that space, so maybe they'll stay later. So all the onus wasn't on us, bringing the people. Some of the people were already still there.
It's a cheat code, y'all.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you're trying to do what she's doing, piggyback.
Piggyback.
That's a cheat code. That's dope.
So Third Friday Art Walk was when we would do it. We would literally, right after Art Walk, lock the door for about 30 minutes and load in the chairs, load in the sound, and then take tickets at the door and then open it back up as if it was like our venue for the night. And so what was beautiful about it was that you had the art, and so that's a beautiful backdrop. There was nothing else competing with it, because sometimes when you're at like a restaurant or something, there's stuff clanking, there's you hear the coffee grinding, but in this particular setting, there was nothing else competing with it. There was this beautiful backdrop of artwork,
Actually
and
adding to it.
right, as part of it. And then the musicians playing original tunes, or if it wasn't original tunes, it was their version of those tunes. It was just a beautiful night. And so unbeknownst to us, we didn't think we were building anything. It was more about, okay, Al has a place to play, and he'll invite his friends to come play, every third Friday, and then it would go from there. But Frank Myers, who is one of the artists that was showing there, he's a photographer and does digital art, he was like, "What's the name of your organization?" And I'm like, "It's not an organization. We're not an organization." So he was like, "No, like this could be something." So I always pick with Frank and say, you were the reason why we did Art of Cool, and I had to go and find a name for it because you thought that this was going to be something. And that's the thing about, when other people believe in you before you even know like what it is. And so it just kind of snowballed from there.
Wow. I remember you saying, "I'm going to have a festival." And everyone was just like, okay, you gonna try to do a festival, like a whole festival?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you did it.
I still thinking back on it, it was crazy.
But
Yeah.
you did something that people are still talking about.
Yeah.
All the craziest, most brilliant ideas happen like
It was the craziest, most brilliant thing I probably ever did. It was, I'm not gonna lie, it was fun, it was hard. It was, I think one thing that was really motivating us was that a lot of people couldn't believe that we were doing it. So you know how that kind of drives you, like,
Put the battery in your back.
right, they said we couldn't do it or what have you. One thing that was really cool was when we got to do the pitch competition, and American Tobacco.
Still proud of you for that.
Man, and I'm not a pitcher.
I'm still
right?
proud of you for doing
So
it.
I'm not someone that I would go do the research, which I did. I would analyze the data. I would put together all the documents. But it's like, no, I want you to get up in front of people and then state the case. Not in a paper, but actually state the case. And so that was what was the most challenging for me, was trying to figure out, how are we going to get up on the stage at BU? How are we going to get their attention? So I was like, Al, I need you to play something so at least everybody be quiet. And he played a little bit. And then as he finished playing, then I came in and pitched for the festival, and people were excited.
I was in it. I remember that.
Because I was like, they're not going to listen to me just get up there. So it was a good 1-2 punch, right? Like he was, of course, the performer. And then, I was the person that was there kind of down in it trying to, get people putting money towards it. That was the biggest thing, is I learned during that process that people weren't really giving money per se to the festival. They were really buying into like me, Al, the fact that we could do it, the kind of excitement that we would bring for downtown. We came at a really good time, you know. It was kind of during that cohort of all the things, like, you know, BU and the parlor, and it was during that time when doing a Kickstarter was the thing around here, and anybody who had a really good idea that was putting in work that did a Kickstarter was getting funded in a big way, and so we were part of that. And I mean, it was just kind of a golden, I think it's like a golden time, you know, during the development of what downtown was.
So you, as I said before, you put your mark on downtown and Durham as a whole. I think you should probably go into history books. That's just my opinion because of the work you've done. If there's ever
That would be cool.
like a business encyclopedia that talks about the things that changed culture, things that just changed Durham or affected Durham, I feel like the art of cool should be in there.
Yeah, the first year was just, first year we did it was crazy.
That's
but
the one that was here downtown, right?
that was the one, it was.
Like you did a bunch of stages?
We did American Tobacco, like right in front of the A-Loft, that space, which I haven't seen anyone really like do a nice big kind of flourishing pop-up in that space. Like people usually do under the water tower, but we didn't have the water tower at that time. I think they were doing weddings or what have you. So we had to use the space, that open space right in front of the A-Loft. We did that and it was free. You could see Cody Chestnut, free, you know. And you can't see Cody Chestnut free.
Absolutely not. No.
We gave away so much free stuff. I mean, it was insane. But then another kind of highlight was we took over Hayti for 2 nighs. And I really am proud of the work that we did there, where we had, you know, Alice Smith, Tore It Up, Bilal was there, a lot of like soul singers, King performed, and you know there was a line going all around Hayti. It just really kind of showed, you know, what Haiti's you know, performance space could be. So that was really beautiful, you know, to see people in the pews, in the rafters.
Looking like the Apollo Theater.
The Foreign Exchange was the big draw. It was.
Oh, I remember.
It was just funny seeing Fonte being Fonte in the pulpit, you know, doing his thing. And so
That's my brother. I can't even, all I can do is.
Amel LaRue was there. You know, every man known to earth was fanning out.
I love her. I do.
I couldn't even go to the barbershop. I'd be in the barbershop and dudes would be like, oh yeah, you got my girl, and I'm like, y'all still on that. It was just funny because you usually see girls like that over like, you know, D'Angelo, Maxwell, whatever. And so to see guys fan out over Amel LaRue was a trip.
Amel is beautiful. If it was Sade.
Oh, she's like unicorn though. I mean, who books Sade? No one.
Like Sade, but if it was Sade, I would show up with a ring that I bought her when I was in college, my sophomore year. I'm sorry, Chantal. But
it would be funny how many girls like Chantal would be standing off to the side like this, just mad. Like, that's my ring.
Oh, no.
She got my ring.
I love her. She's incredible. So I want to talk a little bit about the rise into becoming Dr. Cicely. So you are also a product of an HBCU.
Yes. So I went to undergrad at Tennessee State.
Okay. And who else went to Tennessee State?
Oprah.
Everyone needs to know that. I want to make sure that everyone knows that Oprah went to the same school.
When I went there, I mean, she was just so important. Even the, you know, what the IT system was Harpo dot blah blah blah.
Are you serious?
Yes, it was Harpo something. I was like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you take with you from Tennessee State?
Oh, everything. How to even attempt to try to organize a article festival came from, you know, just, being in a sorority, going to a HBCU, having to deal, put on something big with a little bit, how to market something with a little piece of money, how to network, how to ask for money,
Everything.
all the things, how to put together like a string of programming. I'm an AKA Alpha Psi chapter. I mean, we would have to put together weeks. Like there was AKA week, Alpha Psi week. And so every day had to have, a program, and you're competing with the Deltas, right? Or with the Zetas or whoever, Sigma Gamma Rho. And your week had to be, the week that was talked about amongst the sororities. And so, being able to learn that skill, put together a string of events that will happen, just like how Art of Cool happens over a weekend. Yeah. Learning that skill really did come from HBCU.
A lot of people don't realize how important those skills in college are. I had the same experience, but with NSBE.
Yep.
So in NSBE, I was on the regional advisory board and the national executive board. Excuse me, I'm on the regional advisory board now. I was on the regional executive board and the national executive board as a student, but we had to put together a conference. And then on the national executive board, you are helping to put together an entire, at that time, national convention. Now it's an international convention as a student.
Yeah.
And so all of that gave me, and even the strategic planning that we learned in doing that, it gave me a lot of the tools that I needed that helped us put together Black Wall Street Homecoming. But it's interesting because I remember the things that I learned at school and thinking, I'm never going to use this again. And now I'm using it all the time, even the strategic planning stuff. But it's just amazing to hear you say that, because that's the same thing I was doing. I thought I was cheating the game, but you're still doing the same thing.
I mean, you don't realize it, until, you look back and you're like, man, like I didn't realize that, that's where it came from. But, we're a product of, we came up in households that watched The Cosby Show, A Different World. Spike Lee's, Do the Right Thing, and, School Days and all of that. And that was those were the advertisements for going to HBCUs. I wanted to, be in that situation where, because I was from a very rural part of Tennessee, where I was the only Black in most of my classes. But my parents went to, my dad went to Morehouse, my mom went to Spelman. So I would go to homecomings with them and see that, and was like, when I go to undergrad, I want to make sure I go to a HBCU so I can have that immersive experience, have a Black professor teach me on that level, and then have just that camaraderie, right? So that was, the impetus of wanting to go there.
I didn't know your story was so like mine. So I'm from Kannapolis,
okay,
North Carolina, and in Kannapolis, while I wasn't the only Black guy there really wasn't a whole lot of positive examples for me to look to.
Yeah.
We had a few, and some of those few were people that were already related to me.
Yeah.
And so it was cool, but once I went to NCCU, I saw so many different people. My RA was from Trinidad, Andre.
Wow. Yeah.
So my RA was from Trinidad. My business partners from, my old business partner back then, he was from the VI, Virgin Islands. So I'm meeting all these different types of people. I'm meeting Whitley Gilberts.
Yeah.
I'm meeting Dwayne Waynes. People are calling me Dwayne Wayne.
Right.
But
people call me Whitley.
Call you Whitley. But it's the thing. Yeah, because it's a Southern thing. It's funny because I didn't know that was something that I needed. For my own identity, I needed to be around the diaspora.
Yep.
And so in Kannapolis, I didn't meet people from Africa.
Right.
I didn't meet Caribbean people. I didn't meet Black people that were rich until I went to NCCU. That was weird to me. It's just like, why you have a BMW? Mercedes. Why are you driving that right now?
Yep.
Oh, your dad is Judge such and such. Okay.
Yep.
I get it. It makes sense now. But that was something that I needed to see.
Yeah.
It changes, again, it's perspective, but it changes how you see yourself.
Yeah, I needed to be in that environment to just have a support system, because I was always excelling in math, excelling in, the sciences, and it can be lonely, if you don't see someone like yourself, or there are some things that just mentorship wise I got at a HBCU that, then I went on to UNC Chapel Hill, where again, still a little bit lonely and isolating, where you get the more one-on-one coaching, like, I don't know what this is. Can you tell me? Like, there's no shame in that. As opposed to, it's hard to ask those questions when, people are already looking at you like, I know she don't know. Or you don't even get invited to their study group to even, kind of help one another out. So
I know that feeling.
Yep.
So I want to pivot because you touched on something that's really important. So you talked about the loneliness, and I remember myself, I was the same way. I excelled in math, science, and I was English. And so for me, being the only black kid in AG sometimes, it was weird. But I was reminded of that feeling last year, 2020.
Yeah.
And I'm in my house all the time.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of that. With you and the work that you do, you bring people together.
Yeah.
So how did that affect you when we had to shut down? I mean, did you feel, I don't want to say you felt that same loneliness you felt back then.
Yeah.
But, and I don't even want to put emotions in your, I'm just saying, how did you feel?
It was weird because it was a chance to slow down. Yeah. Because up until, I guess, the pandemic, maybe right before selling article, it was just go, 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 go. Like, as soon as you're done with this festival, maybe we take a week off, then I have to analyze all the data to figure out, that's just how I am. I'm going to take all the data from the surveys. I got to put the survey out. I got to analyze it. And then we got to figure out what we're going to do for next year. It just was constant go. I think the pandemic at first was really good to just slow down.
I needed that too.
Yeah, I think we all needed it, because I feel like Durham, and then probably the larger ecosystem, we're just charting a course where it's just like go, 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 go. You got to stop and deal with some systemic issues, right, that have been happening, because I will say I was kind of victim of one of those levels of thinking where after the Obamas came into power or whatever, that was all good, that, not racism doesn't exist, but that we've moved on, right? Like that a black man and woman can be first family and people are good. Yeah. But it was something about, that pandemic that then kind of shined a spotlight even further on some of the things that we've been kind of just pushing to the side. So we need to slow down and I think address some things. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I told someone this. I said, what's happening right now is we're having a family disagreement. That's the best way I know how to describe it. Like, if you were to look at humans as being brothers and sisters, because we really are at the end of the day, we're all related. Right now, as some people, I think Jeff Durham over the chamber, he called it a racial reckoning, and I hadn't heard that, but it's like you said, we're pushing things to the side. So yeah, this was a reckoning. But with all that being the case, we're still family, and this is something that we have to get through so we can be better. But I think that's what happened for years and years and years. We ignored it. It's not a thing anymore. Oh, racism.
Yeah, it's all good. I voted for the Obamas.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that was kind of like, what is that? That's the calling card to say that you cool with black people. But I will say that last year was, we need to slow down. I felt exhausted. Yeah. Exhausted. Like just news overload. Because remember, the pandemic wasn't really our first thing of last year. It was Kobe Bryant dying.
Right, Kobe.
Right, and so Kobe Bryant passing, we were fresh off of that. Right, we could still move about, and there was no like lockdown, at least in the U.S. It was just kind of whispers.
I mean, we still had the president that, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it because that's how I felt. We had a president that, for me, created a lot of trauma.
I do feel like, you know, people have their opinions about like Dr. Fauci and like what's going on, you know, just research wise, but he didn't allow the scientists and the researchers that are doing this work day to day to do their jobs, right? I felt like they were kind of, you know, hushed, silenced, mocked, you know, treated, ridiculed, or what have you under that regime.
How did you feel as a scientist when you saw that?
It's hard because, you know, I'm even on Zoom calls with my family trying to, you know, let them know that, yes, it's okay. Like when the vaccine does come out, you know, there is a race to a vaccine. You should be getting it when it comes out. It's not a conspiracy. No one's trying to, you know, shoot you with a chip or whatever. Like, I mean, it's hard because, you know, a lot of the work that we do is, you know, you have to sign these documents saying that you can't really speak on, you know, what's going on. So it's hard sometimes to sit back and watch it all play out, you know, people's opinions on social media and that sort of thing.
Can you touch on that a little bit? Because we didn't really talk about that a whole lot, but you talked about how you had to sign something so you don't say a whole lot. Can you talk about your role and what you're doing with the vaccine?
Right, so...
Or excuse me, with COVID, I'm sorry.
With COVID, yeah. So I work for Syneos Health, and we're a contract research organization. And so what we do is we win contracts from different pharma companies to help them with their clinical trials. And so that's any pharma company. They could be coming up with a cure for cancer or a cure for AIDS, or, you know, trying to have a vaccine come forth, you know, for COVID. So that's what I do. I'm a director, so I don't lead any studies, but I manage, you know, statisticians that are, you know, helping with that research. And what we do is literally, when my dad always tried to explain it and he asked me, what is it you do again? We help legal drug dealers get their drugs out on the market. We prove that this drug is safe and effective. Yeah, that's how I told my dad. Was like, I help legal drug dealers get their drugs out on the market, and we do that with math.
That's funny.
Proving that it's safe and effective. That's my short elevator pitch, or, you know, for what I do day to day.
That's funny. All right, we'll go back to the fun stuff. So before the pandemic started, you had begun working with Golden Belt.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that work and how it led to you now also working with Boxyard?
Yeah, so it's an interesting pivot, right? So during the time of, you know, curating different spaces for Art of Cool Festival, you know, you know, develop a name or whatever. So Golden Belt wanted to launch a stage. And I don't know how my name was mentioned, but
Miss Cicely Mitchell. Come on now. Y'all, this is after she had crushed it with Art of Cool. And so now she's like, I don't know how my name is. Yeah, you're the first person.
I'm just a lowly statistician.
Whatever. You're the first name. When people say, I want to do something live, Cicely. I didn't even finish my sentence yet. Oh, okay. Go ahead and finish it.
So initially, this was before all the construction over there.
Okay.
Like literally, Highwire wasn't there. They just purchased the back part of it, and it was still raw. Like it had not been fixed up.
You know that you're one of the reasons why we signed on to that project.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that you were working with it. And Justin, he used it. Shout out to Justin.
Yeah.
He used it as a selling point. He was like, yeah, we got Cicely Mitchell working on the project. And I was like, oh, that's my girl. All right, well, we'll help you with the website.
Well, you know, I got a soft spot for Golden Belt because of that art gallery that was there, Labor Love. And so it felt right. It felt right for me because I had left Art of Cool Festival, but, you know, I was coming back home to Golden Belt to help them launch their stage. So it felt right. So, you know, initially it was rough back there, and he was showing me all the plans, and John Warsilla, you know, showed me all the things, and Vandana. And so I said, you know, let's put together, you know, some programming and just see. And then I believe it took them a little longer, like any project, like you building a house is going to take a long time. So it's the same thing. It took them a little longer. I think we were supposed to launch one year, and we launched the following year. But it was a lot of fun. We did 80 plus free events.
You've done that already?
Yeah. The first year that we launched, we did music. We did Oh gosh, we did film. We did some workout stuff on the lawn. We did some, kid-friendly stuff.
So it's not just music.
No,
Okay.
no, it's not just music. We are on kind of a abbreviated because we're in COVID.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too.
Yeah, we are in like abbreviated programming where we're just doing the music part this year, and we're not doing all the other stuff. But that first year, we start with a block party, which is just to kind of celebrate, and it's you can think of it as a one-day mini festival type thing.
I think I may have showed up to that first block party.
Yeah,
Is that
we
the one I showed
we would
up
have had Rhapsody, or not Rhapsody. We had Heather Victoria, and some of the Jamla
Yeah.
people
Man.
do it that year. I don't know why I said Rhapsody.
She was with Jamla.
She is with Jamla, but we didn't have budget for that.
Oh. No, my sweet Marlena. She has grown up, and I love seeing it.
And she deserves it.
Yes, she
and
does.
She deserves it.
Yes.
But we had Heather and some of their other artists, and actually because it was that weekend was Record Store Day, we kind of built off of some of the other people who have labels in this area.
So how did that lead into Boxyard RTP? Because now you have Golden Belt, which is right outside of downtown, and you got Boxyard, which is in Research Triangle Park, and they just opened up in the middle of COVID?
They did.
Yeah.
They did. So there were another where it's like we were supposed to do it one year, and then I think COVID got in the way.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't launch until this year.
Oh, I didn't. So this is another situation where you had to start a whole year after you had intended.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think that's my calling card now, I guess, is just launching stages, and we kind of have like
I'm just kidding.
a year later, like
Not
not
on
on
you.
time,
Not on you.
time. We gonna get it up.
Right.
I think being a statistician, I'm someone who I like to template out things, right? Like there's a formula for things, so it's easier to do. Like you launch one stage or you launch one thing, you've kept all your records, you've kept all your budgets, you've kept all your contacts. So it's starting to become easier and easier to have venue, plug, play. I've got my core team that I like to work with. Tess Mangamo Kenya is my right hand. I could not do any of these projects without Tess.
Tess is actually a collaborator with us on this
on
project
the
in
playlist.
the playlist. Yeah.
And so Tess is kind of the secret sauce, at least for me, over the years with the festival. She does all of the production work. So there's me, the creator, like, oh, I think this person's cool. The curator, she's the one who actually, like, after we put them under contract, she's the one that makes sure they show up on time, sound good, all those things. So she's kind of that person for me, because I don't know, mixes and all the things, monitors, and I mean that's her.
Yeah.
Backline.
Ain't nothing wrong with
that's
that.
her.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Shout out to Sonic Pie Productions. Shout out to Tess and the stuff that she's doing. You alluded to this a little bit, but you said because of COVID, y'all had to wait to open the Boxyard stage.
Yeah.
How else has COVID changed the way that you curate when you do that work? Because you're doing it again, but what's different about it?
Ooh, that's a good one. What's different with COVID now is just having to be really, really thoughtful about how many people can fit in this space. And just, making sure people are safe. It's hard to really, commit to any big event, like one big event. Which is hard for me because I like to do like one big thing and be out. So that's kind of the change with COVID, is like, doing these smaller, kind of methodical, every week type of events.
And that's different because, you know, back in the day, we used to try to force, I'm not going to say force, but pile as many people
as many
in
things,
Yeah.
you know, on top of one another,
Yeah.
you know, one in, one out type situations.
Yep. We're in capacity. He's out. Okay, you can come on in. You know.
Can't do that anymore. I mean, well,
man.
you shouldn't.
You should not
You
be doing
shouldn't
that, yeah.
be doing those things anymore. So
Interesting. So, do you think that that's going to change the game because of all this thing happening? Do you think we're ever going to get back to a pile everybody in motor code situation, or do you think that it's going to be like 9/11 where security changed at the airports
Yeah,
and
like
it's still
things
like
will
that?
never change.
Yeah.
Or things have changed forever.
Forever.
I do think that we're, you know, we're at that place where like wearing a mask or people wanting to even wear a mask is commonplace now.
Yeah.
I even find myself, I don't even really check in with like what's the mask policy. It's like I'm just gonna carry my mask, and if people want me to wear it, then I'll wear it. I do worry about mandates from non-federal places, you know, mandating that you have vaccination cards. I'm a big, like, you know, vax, but it's something about it being a non-federal building that bothers me, because I don't want that to be kind of a barrier, because some people don't have access. Right? Or there are things that are, from a public health standpoint, kind of stopping people from going to get vaccinated. Does that make sense? Like if you're going to require, I feel like if you are going to require someone to get vaccinated to come into your space, you should also allow people to get vaccinated in the parking lot.
Fascinating.
Right? Like you should, instead of making it be a barrier to get into their space, they should have people outside or leading up to where those people could get access to either a COVID test to prove that they're not, or to get vaccinated. Then I think that all makes sense. But just saying, oh, you can't come into my space because you know you got to show your vaccination card. It's like, I feel like somehow that's an underlying socioeconomic, maybe, I don't even know if that's the right term for it, but a barrier, you know?
It's a way to discriminate against people. It can be.
Yeah.
But do you think that the Fed should be the ones, I mean, I heard you say that they should mandate it, but do you think, or excuse me, you said that they should enforce it if they had that mandate out, but do you think that they should put that mandate out? I know that's sticky because we're in the land of the free.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. But it's something that bothers me, you know, just for the realm of, let's say, presenting. You know, it's no secret that there are a few venues downtown in Durham that are saying you can't come into my space if you don't show your vaccination card, right? I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I'm not saying, of course I want people to be vaccinated, but I feel like if it's that important to them, then not only would they be requiring that, but they will also then have something that helps people get there, right?
Do you think that, and I like to say like in the future, but do you think that as we go through this particular phase of COVID, live venues, I'm talking about what you're talking about, but do you think that if I go to the show, if I go to the Wu-Tang concert, outside there should be a way for me to get at least vaccinated and tested if I'm going to go to that?
Yeah.
That's the new wave.
I think there should be immediate access.
Okay, I agree.
You know?
Yeah, I do
Instead of just saying, get it how you get it, but when you get in here, you need to have had it.
So
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I'm just thinking about like.
It's the type of thing where like you go to a place, you know, like you go in a country club, they want you to put on a jacket.
Where am I going to get a jacket?
Right. There's jackets right here in the closet.
They do that. You're right. They do that.
You see what I'm
They say,
saying?
here, you can wear one of these.
Same thing. Where it's like, I'm not discriminating against you because you don't have a jacket on. I'm saying you gotta have a jacket on.
Yeah.
Here's a jacket. Same thing.
I can feel that.
Yeah.
I guess I can feel that. So, do you see any reverb effect after? Hopefully, we can get rid of this COVID-19 and its variants. But what kind of reverb effect do you see from all this happening in your industry?
It's rough. I mean, venues. You talking about in my day job?
You know
industry?
what? Let's talk about both because you're such a fascinating person. I really think it's important. I want to talk about the venues because that's probably easier for now.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people who are probably listening, especially people in Durham, know you from that. Mm-hmm. But then the research aspect of it sounds like it might be a little more complex.
Research is popping.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a bunch of work out there that's vaccine related.
Okay.
And it's not stopping.
That's just done. That's just the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future.
I've not seen, we go on these things called bid defenses, where companies put out requests for proposal if you can help run their trial. Mm-hmm. It ain't dried up.
Goodness gracious.
The stock for Syneos Health has gone up during the pandemic.
Thank you for telling me that. I'm going to go ahead and
so I'm just
invest.
saying, healthcare right now, kids out there going to school or trying to think about what they're going to go into, healthcare.
Yeah.
Something healthcare related. I remember my mom always wanted me to be a medical doctor, right? But that was just not going to happen for me. But it was cool once I took a stats elective at Tennessee State, and my professor is a biostatistician, and he got his PhD from UNC Chapel Hill. That's how I got here, was through him. He was like, have you ever thought about doing biostatistics? I was like, I don't know what that is. But as he explained it to me, I was like, oh, this can check a box with me doing math and my mama.
Yep.
Right? It's like, oh, this is some, it's biomedical data. I can do this. And so it checked the box, still helping in the realm of, medicine per se, but just, I don't have to deal with the patients. I just want to, take their data and analyze it and see if there are any trends or if there's anything bad happening, and then be able to,
So y'all are good on the research side. What about the live venue side? What does that post-pandemic look like?
I don't know. I don't know.
I thought you were going to have the answers. That's why I brought you in.
Well, here's the thing. The thing I worry about is that the little guys will fall away.
Right? I heard the same thing.
Live Nation gonna be good. Cause see, Live Nation gonna come around here and get all the little guys. Just gobble them right on up. So
they were doing that before.
They were doing that before, but I mean, it's easy. It's easy now. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't even have to come put no pressure on you. It's like you probably trying to give it away.
I got to give credit to my man Nick for putting this in my ear. But we had a conversation Nicolay. We had a few conversations about this, and one of the things that he told me was exactly what you're saying. He said, I think that people he pointed to me because I used to play in shows. He said, I think people like you who do this, as a passion project, I think it's going to be harder for people like that to turn a profit in this kind of thing now. He said that smaller venues are going to get swallowed up. And it's interesting that him and I had this conversation a few weeks ago, and you're saying the same exact thing.
Yep.
Goodness, that's sad.
And I actually prefer going to, the smaller shows.
Me too.
There's a show in Charlotte that I want to go to. Kiefer is coming to Charlotte on a Thursday. And I'm like, I need to try to get there because I want to see Kiefer. So it's one of those things where it's just like, I'm not one to no diss to Deepak at all. But once you've gotten to Deepak, I'm a little less interested.
It's a
once
thing.
You get to, let's not pick on Deepak, but once you get to a bigger venue, I want to see Anderson .Paak at Pinhook or at some small little hole. I want to see Lucky Day at Motor Cove, right? I want to see them before. I think he's going to be doing something with Earth, Wind, and Fire now. Mm-hmm. Cool. But I like the up and coming
Yeah, how are you finding people like that? Because even with Art of Cool, I think was it Anderson .Paak?
Yes.
Yeah, you knew about this cat before anyone else. You brought him here. And he's not the only one. That's the thing. A lot of people who went on to just pop, you knew about them before. What are you doing? What are you listening to so that you know about the newest, latest, greatest?
Two things. I listen to a lot of different like podcasts. I'm always, when I'm working like in my regular, stats job, I always have like a podcast on. So whether it's, a lot of it came through selection, just listening to Joe K, listening to a lot of UK podcasts.
Yeah. Very progressive.
Yes, so that's part of it. But the other part was just having younger people around me on my team, because it's interesting how Anderson .Paak came about, because I wasn't hunting for him. Like, I was actually hunting for the internet. And I finally got the booking agent to commit to the internet. And so I think I was getting the internet and Thundercat. And then just like how if you're at the grocery store, at the very end, there's all this stuff at the end. And they want you to like take this person. She was like, oh, have you heard of Anderson? And I'm like, I already done spent all this money, getting these two,
Yeah.
And so she was like, you really need to take a listen. And so she sent me his package or whatever. And Am I Wrong? Am I Wrong? The song Am I Wrong? So
That was the one.
That was the one. And so I listened to it, and then Might Be, which was interesting at the time because I thought that the Might Be that was on the radio, 97.5, was his Might Be. But it wasn't. It was Luke Nasty's Might Be. And Ninth Wonder then had to school me on the fact that I didn't have anybody that was on my roster that actually was on the radio. I was like, no, Anderson Might Be. He was like, no, that's Luke Nasty.
Oh.
So I was like, but this is interesting because that's the part about Art of Cool.
Yeah.
Art of Cool is supposed to get you to jazz. It's supposed to get you to learn about, Black American music, which may not be on the radio. So I was like, that's fine. People know Might Be, right? Even if it's
They know the song. They know the title of the song.
They know the song. It's the same exact hook. I was like, okay, they'll find it. They'll, realize what it was. I had no clue that Anderson .Paak was going to be, Modelo Anderson .Paak.
Listen.
Playing with, what is it?
Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars,
They have
Silk Sonic.
Yeah, they have a
Anderson
whole
.Paak.
group.
I had no idea he was going to be that. And if I told you what we booked him for, you would be like, what?
I mean, not back then. No.
Back then, it seemed, for us, the little article, it seemed like a lot. But, he really was one that was, oh, yeah, by the way. We were going for internet. We were going for, Thundercat. We got those two. And this was kind of like, oh, by the way. And she even said, she's like, he's going to be big. They always say, he's going to be big. But Am I Wrong really stuck with me day after day after day commuting into work. That was my song.
And that was it. And so you I have to have
I was like, he's catchy. And his voice was very unique.
How long did it take you to sit on that music before you said, okay, yeah, let's bring him?
A few days.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
A few days. And no one knew him. We booked him. We actually booked him. I think Hopscotch might have been looking at him, and Greg from Hopscotch was down at South by Southwest, and he was like, he hit me, and he was like, that was a good booking. He was like, this dude is killing South by Southwest. He even said, because I think we had already put out our schedule, he said, you need to move him. He said, he not gonna, it's too much for Pinhook. He said, you need to move him from Pinhook to whatever the next biggest venue you have. That's why we moved him from Pinhook to the Armory.
That is amazing. Now that story, I'm glad we got that. I'm so glad we got that. Good gosh, that was amazing.
That year of booking we had the most amazing luck. It was just the most amazing luck of that lineup was just stellar.
I admire you and the work that you were doing.
It was fun. It was a fun ride.
So I have to ask you this as a leader.
Yeah.
I asked my last guest this, and we're not asked this a lot, but are you okay? Been doing all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right.
I'm fine. One thing that has been really interesting, you had mentioned something about ripple effects. So my life has slowed down considerably. I'm a bonus mom. We have a house here, downtown. But just housing market wise, pandemic, crazy.
I was gonna move. No, I'm not. Not right now.
We've been thinking about getting a bigger house because the
Yeah.
boys are getting bigger, and it's just like, hey, selling the house, no problem. Gonna make a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, we're just thinking like, man, we sell this, we're gonna make. We were talking
But
yesterday. We're
where
gonna
we
make this
gonna
money.
go? But where we gonna go?
You can go to.
all that money we made. We gonna have to put on this offer.
No, you can go out the country. You can go out to past Rougemont.
Let me tell you something.
Past.
Even houses in Youngsville.
It's too close to Raleigh.
I'm just
The
saying.
reason why. That's why it's expensive.
Youngsville, Dunn, Oxford.
You gotta go to Murphy,
they are
North Carolina.
They are up there. I mean, even beyond what they would appraise
Yeah.
for. It's
Yeah.
ignorant.
You have the tax value. Tax value could be, I don't know, $350.
Right.
But what you're gonna be paying for it, $550.
Oh, you gotta overreach. If you want that house, you gotta overreach.
I mean,
And you're gonna have cash
I've been hearing that.
on that due diligence. We talking about cash.
And then I've
cash.
also heard that people are, it's normal now in Durham to offer at least $70,000 over what they're asking.
Yep.
That's nuts. I don't want a house right now. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna try to wait
We
it out.
put an offer in last week, 85 over,
Nah, you didn't get it.
outbid.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. Welcome to Durham. Welcome to Durham.
Crazy.
And the person that outbid you may not be from Durham.
I
They may be
don't
from
think
San
we're
Francisco.
actually competing with people. I think we're competing with Open Door.
You think so?
I think we're competing with Open Door, Zillow, these Zestimate people.
Take a biased statistician and say that.
I'm starting
You
to
might
think
be
that
right.
we're not, because if it's a seller's market and a lot of people are willing to buy, then you would think it would be an even exchange, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're in a house, you're buying a house, so your house is now up for
Yeah.
sale. But it's not working like that. It's just people buying. You see what I'm saying? So it can't be a person that actually needs to live in. It's got to be a company.
Yeah. Damn.
That's what I think is
you
happening.
might be right. You
Is
might
that
be
the
right.
Open Doors of the world are buying up all the inventory.
But you do
and
know.
then buying it, waiting for like a couple weeks, and then putting it back out there because they
that
know
what
it's
they're
low
doing?
inventory. Have you not seen that?
No. I didn't know that's what they were doing. Are you serious?
You'll see a house like go for sale at like last month, come back for sale
More.
the next month, 50 grand more.
Yeah. All right. Makes sense. That makes sense. We haven't, so that's amazing. And I'm glad we got it on video.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that we really haven't. I know we've spoken on the phone here and there and text each other, but this is the first time we've been in the room since then.
I will say, like, the pandemic, between the pandemic and just like, I would have to say burnout from just the festival and the scene and everything that was going on, because again, it was like go, bigger. Who you want to see next year? Somebody put down Kendrick Lamar. I think it was at that point I was like,
Ask P about Kendrick when he came to Durham.
I was just like,
And he actually has a funny story about it. That's why I say ask him.
does it have anything to do with McDougal Terrace?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that. I've heard that one. Yeah. No, I've heard it. But, you start to see that and it's like you're flattered
Yeah.
that people see your festival as being worthy of a Pulitzer Prize winner,
That's amazing.
right? But
Well, he wasn't a Pulitzer Prize
he
winner
wasn't
back
at the
then.
time,
Yeah.
but still.
Yeah.
And then thinking about that booking. I will never live up to this person's standard, right? And then two, I will go broke trying to.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm exhausted. it's almost like being a victim of the success of Art of Cool, because I don't know if people understood. There's an actual person,
Yep.
not a company, not a publicly traded Live Nation behind Art of Cool Festival. The people making decisions are like you and me, like your neighbor.
Yeah.
Making decisions. And so at that point, it's just, it got exhausting. So it's just almost like I'm just getting to the point where it's like, okay, we sold it. Ooh, my baby went off to college.
Now you feeling
I ain't
good.
got to worry about it no more.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic kind of slowed everything down. I'm like really just getting back to the place where it's just like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Yes, I can do this. I can do box yard. I can do whatever. But when I'm not doing this, I am cheering Kobe on at his basketball game. Taking him to basketball camp.
The new Kobe, by the way.
Yeah, like my Kobe.
Your Kobe.
Yeah.
I want to clarify for the
my
camera.
Kobe,
Yeah.
who's a 7-year-old,
Yeah.
who wants to be the next Steph Curry.
Oh,
So
that is amazing.
And then we got one who starts football tomorrow. Yep, 5 years old.
So that's what I used to play. I used to play football.
Yeah,
I'm a football guy.
he's the football player. He want to tackle somebody, but we got to tell him it's flag football right now.
I don't understand this flag football.
Right, that's kind of what he's like
Yeah.
too. He was like, so I can't tackle nobody. I'm like, not with this. You just got to run fast and steal the flag.
Doesn't make sense. If you're a defense guy, and he sounds like me. Like I was a defense
He
guy.
wants to run someone over.
Yeah. You want to chase after people. This is what you want to do. You want to have somebody running and thinking they got away. And then as they're running away, you want to hear silence and hear a man with an English accent saying, as he clutches the Giselle in his mouth.
Yeah,
You
that's
want to
it.
hear the nature thing, like you're getting ready to go out on the hunt. You
That's
want all that.
Kevin.
Yeah, you don't
That's
want to go
Kevin.
and take somebody's flag.
No.
Like, let me have your
So I'm
no.
hoping that he can just stick with it during this time, because we think he'll do really well once he gets to like the tackle part.
That's great. So I realize we are going long. So I've got one last question for you.
Okay.
It's just because you talked about the music and the booking. I remember having conversations with you about culture. Like, what's the tone? How is it gonna feel? This is what should happen when people walk in. You remember that? Like, this is how we want it to be. So how do you think the culture is going to change? The culture, when I say that, I'm talking about the culture we were kind of building on to around here. How do you feel is gonna change post-pandemic when you consider the variables, and I use that because you're a biostatistician, when you consider the variables of so many people moving in. We got 20 people plus moving in per day.
Yeah.
We have a global pandemic going on, so that's creating time that we're all away from each other. So with all those things considered, how does the culture get back to a point where, or I don't want to say get back to a point where we're necessarily going out, but when we get back to a point where people are feeling good and they're out, like how do we do that? How do we do that healing to get to that point?
I think just like with anything, city and culture and kind of arts culture wise, we should plan for it. Just like there's a strategic plan for how you're going to pump money down into, or how you're going to, plan that this part of the city is going to be developed. I do think it's probably going to be best that we plan for what that looks like.
I agree with you on that.
We were so used to, like you said, it's the land of the free, and everyone wants to pack in and be on top of one another. I worry just about social graces. I worry about people knowing each other's boundaries, people being able to tolerate people for a long time. I do think set times probably need to be shorter, because people may not even be able to stand all of that we used to be.
You're right.
Does that make sense? Because
It
I know
does.
for me, I was never a social phobe, but I can't be out too long. Like, I just feel like I got to get to home base. I'm good. I got to get to home base. I'm out maybe an hour, hour and a half, 2.
Gotta go home.
Gotta go home.
I did that with my boy the other night. We went out, and I told him, I said, I'll go out with you because I haven't seen you in a while, so I'll go out with you. But I'm going home at this time.
Yeah.
And so when that time came, I rolled out. He said, I thought you were playing.
No.
No, I'm not going home. Haven't you noticed I've been drinking water? I haven't been drinking with you. I've been drinking water the whole time. Oh, I got stuff to do tomorrow. So it's changed me, and that's why I asked you, because it sounds like it's changed you as well.
Yeah, and I'm more focused. It gives you time to kind of, focus more on things that are most important. My family decided to implement a Zoom call every other Sunday, right?
Yeah.
That my immediate family, like my mom, my dad, my sister, we're on it, but then my cousins in California come on. And actually, that's one bright spot that has happened, is that we still continue that tradition of, it's just an open Zoom. Everybody kind of pop in, if they can, say what's going on, connect with one another. So I've actually seen more of my cousins out in California than I've ever seen them.
I may have to.
Because they're on Zoom, and it's a standing call. Right, and whoever can come in, during that Sunday, you may be busy doing something else, then you just push to the next. But it's every other Sunday, and that is one bright spot that has been like family, that kind of, family centric. This was from the person, like, I had my condo over there, I was the Carrie Bradshaw, or I thought I was, the Carrie Bradshaw.
Carrie Bradshaw of Durham, that's
of Durham. Mine is the big, I guess.
So you were the Carrie Bradshaw, where I was one of the madmen.
Right. No, I had my little condo, and I thought I was, I was popping in and out.
Yeah.
But, then now it's all about family and stuff like that. I will say that the pandemic really helped with that transition, right? Because there was nothing really then competing for that time. I was always I didn't want to have kids, but if someone brought some kids to it, I can do that. I don't want to change nothing. I don't want to milk nothing. I don't want to do all that. Yeah. But I can,
And here you are.
Here I am, a boy mom.
That is cool. So, Cicely, before we wrap up, do you have anything you want to plug? Anything you got going? That's how they do on TV. Ain't that what they do? They be like, I got a new record coming out.
I ain't selling nothing. Thank God. I ain't selling not one ticket to nothing.
Nothing. That's what I'm talking about.
Nothing. I'm not selling anything. I want everybody, to really take what's going on with the pandemic serious. And, if you're not vaccinated, get educated on vaccinations. It's not a conspiracy behind the vaccinations. Trust me, there are educated researchers that look like you that are making sure that everything is above board and things are being done, in the right order. So that's the biggest thing, is I want to make sure everybody is out there and getting access to the vaccination, because I do think going into the winter, everybody
gets warm. They get cold. And they want to be next to someone that's warm.
There was some quarantine bays, I heard.
There were a bunch.
There was some, they had a little, whatever that little cell was. They had some quarantine bay.
Like, I'm 50 now. What do I look like with kids? And I said, you look like you look now with a child.
Exactly.
So that's what it is.
But just, people be safe out there if you are going to be inside. And of course, if you're not vaccinated, make sure you're masked up.
Okay.
The gyms started opening back up, because I go to a private gym where it's like one-on-one, but I also need access to a treadmill. So, there are some gyms that had mask requirements, and at first I hated it. Because it's hard to run with a mask on.
I've tried.
So then, I was like, this is more than a workout. I'm about to die.
Well, they used to make the mask that you could put on just for working out.
Yeah.
So, that used to be a part of making your workout worse.
So I tried several different masks and settled on the Under Armour mask. I can breathe the most in that one.
Yeah, I might need that recommendation.
Under Armour.
Is
got
it just Under Armour or is it a certain kind?
It's not a certain kind, you know. And the boys have it for when they play in their sports, and it's breathable.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, try to stay in some sort of, you know, fitness. You know, like I said, you know, we like to eat and we like to drink and we nesting, but still have your, you know, kind of fitness. I know for me, that's what I do for mental health. You know, I got to get up. I get up early in the morning, sweat before I'm even, you know, working. I have to have that. So whatever your things are, you know, make sure you're doing that.
That's amazing. Where can people find you?
Oh wow! At the crib? No, I'm sorry.
Online, where can they find you?
Online.
If people are interested in finding out about these events that you're doing, where do they go?
Well, they can go to goldenbeltarts.com, which you did the website, or they can go. Yeah, shameless plug.
Yeah, no worries.
And then they can also go to rtp.org, where the schedule for Box Yard is out there.
Cool. All right. Well, Cicely, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was fun.
This was fun for me. It was fun just catching up, and we're gonna sit here and drink apparently. So thank you for just being here. Thank you for tuning in to Konversations. Please like us, follow us, and subscribe. Subscribe on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube. On all, well, not all the tubes.
Wait,
Tay told me
what?
not to say all the tubes because there are tubes that we don't want to have people subscribe
That's
to.
too much. That's too much.
So anyway, please find us, follow us, subscribe, and go to our website, www.komplexcreative.com, where you can find new clips until we get the Konversations website up, because we got to figure all that out. But in any event, looking forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you to my guest, Cicely, and I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.